Think about the moment right before a stage play begins.
Oh, yeah. The anticipation.
Right, the house lights dim, the crowd kind of quiets down, and a single spotlight hits the curtain.
Mhm.
In a matter of seconds, like before a single word is even spoken, your heart rate actually changes. Your brain fundamentally shifts its expectations, and it prepares for a new reality.
It's incredibly visceral.
Yeah, that is the raw psychological power of light. And yet, I mean, in our day-to-day lives, most of us treat lighting like a complete afterthought.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a binary utility, right?
Yeah.
Up is on, down is
A
off.
switch you flip so you don't stub your toe.
Exactly. But today, we are unpacking the exact opposite approach. For this deep dive, we have a stack of sources from the official website of a high-end lighting and luminaire design company called OCCHIO.
And they are doing some really fascinating stuff,
Yeah. They treat light not as a utility, but as a physical, moldable building material.
which is wild.
It really is. And in fact, their entire operation is anchored to this one specific mission statement. I'm going to read it here. They say, "We create a new culture of light to enrich people's quality of life. That is our mission. Because light is an essential part of our lives, it brings spaces to life, creates mood and atmosphere, and enhances well-being."
Okay.
So let's unpack this. A new culture of light
Right.
that is incredibly ambitious.
Ugh.
I mean, they aren't just trying to sell us a nicer desk lamp. They are trying to fundamentally change how we interact with the spaces we live in.
It is an incredibly bold statement, and what's fascinating here is the deliberate use of the word culture. A culture isn't a product you can buy off a shelf, you know?
Right.
A culture is a shared set of behaviors, values, and interactions. So OCCHIO is framing themselves not as a hardware manufacturer, but as the architects of a concept they call the lightscape.
The lightscape. I love that
It-
term.
It's brilliant. They are arguing that the way a room is lit dictates how you behave and how you feel inside of it, which, I mean, scientifically speaking, is entirely accurate.
Yeah, it dictates everything.
Right. Light dictates our circadian rhythms, our focus, our spatial awareness. By giving people the tools to actively shape the lightscapes of their personal space, they are claiming to directly enhance human well-being.
I want to stop on that word lightscape for a second because it immediately shifts your perspective. When I hear landscape or soundscape, I think of a totally immersive environment.
Yes.
A lightscape implies that lighting shouldn't just be some bulb hanging from the center of a ceiling blasting out lumens in every direction.
Which is what most of us have.
Right, exactly. But if a company is claiming to build a new culture of light, they need some serious architectural and engineering principles to back that up.
Oh, for sure. You can't just slap a nice word on it.
Yeah. So looking at their foundational philosophy, they outline four main pillars.
Right.
There's light quality, design quality, something they call joy of use, and a holistic approach.
Yeah. And we really have to look at how those four pillars interact. Because in the lighting industry, having highlight quality and design quality is honestly just the baseline for entry.
Right, you're paying for a premium product, it better look good.
Exactly. If you are building a premium luminaire, it goes without saying that the physical object must look beautiful, and the light it casts must have a really high color rendering index.
Okay, color rendering index, meaning what exactly?
Meaning it needs to make colors look natural, like how they look under sunlight. It needs to be free of harsh glare. The optics need to be precise.
Right.
That is just the physics of good lighting.
Hmm.
But the real friction, and I think the real innovation, lies in those last two pillars.
Okay, that is exactly where I want to push back.
Go for it.
Because I can track with design quality and optical precision. I get that.
Yeah.
But joy of use.
Yeah.
We are talking about turning on a light. Like I said earlier, I flip a switch when I walk into my kitchen so I don't trip over the dog.
Right.
Where does the joy come in? I mean, are we romanticizing a basic household chore here?
It sounds romanticized until you realize how frustrating bad environmental control actually is.
Okay.
When we think of a switch, as you said, it's utilitarian. It's on or off. Maybe you have a crude dimmer slider.
Yeah, those little plastic sliders on the wall.
But OCCHIO connects this joy of use directly back to that core mission of enhancing well-being. When they talk about joy, they're talking about removing the friction between your intent and your environment.
Removing the friction.
Yeah. Think about how seamless a modern smartphone feels compared to an old rotary dial.
Oh, man. Yeah.
OCCHIO is applying that level of intuitive, tactile responsiveness to a room's atmosphere.
Okay, so you're saying the joy comes from a feeling of total control, like the environment is actually responding to you rather than you just dealing with whatever light is currently stuck in the room.
Precisely. And this is where the fourth pillar comes in, the holistic approach. It becomes the critical mechanism here.
How so?
Well, a holistic approach means the lighting isn't piecemeal. You don't just buy one good lamp and stick it in the corner of a badly lit room.
Right.
It is a deliberate, unified system designed to respond to the user's needs in real time.
Give me an example of that.
Okay, so if you are hosting a dinner party, the lighting over the table might need to be warm and intimate, right?
Yeah.
But while that's happening, the perimeter of the room could have this soft ambient glow to make the space feel larger.
Oh, I see.
But then, say the next day, if you were working at that same table, you need crisp, directed light to reduce eye strain.
Yeah, you don't want mood lighting when you're doing taxes.
Exactly. So the joy comes from the ability to instantly, intuitively conduct the room's atmosphere to match your exact psychological need in that specific moment.
Wow. Okay, so you are acting as a conductor for the room, like an orchestra.
That's a great way to put it.
You wouldn't want the brass section just blasting at maximum volume the entire symphony.
No, that would be awful.
You want the strings to swell. You want the woodwinds to come in softly. You are layering the light.
Exactly, layering.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Because if the ultimate goal is to give a person the ability to conduct their own highly specific, customizable lightscape, they need a massive variety of instruments to play.
Yes, they do.
And moving from their philosophy into their actual product lines, the sheer scale of the taxonomy they've built is staggering.
It really is.
I mean, looking at the sources, we were talking about spotlights, ceiling luminaires, pendants, wall, mirror, table, floor, outdoor, and wireless luminaires.
Taxonomy is the perfect word for it because it is a highly categorized evolutionary tree of tools.
Yeah.
To achieve a holistic system, you need a specialized instrument for every conceivable corner, every shadow, and every specific task within a living space.
And the way they name these tools is wild.
It's very intentional.
It doesn't read like a hardware catalog at all. It reads like the directory of an art gallery or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the contrast in their series names, because I think it tells you exactly what they're trying to achieve. So on one end of the spectrum, you have these very celestial, atmospheric names. Like there's a series called Coro Moon, which they tagline as diamonds in the sky.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right. And there's Luna, which is light from another world, and Luna Nova described as the new opulence.
So if we connect this back to the bigger picture, those celestial names are actually describing the optical mechanism of the luminaire itself.
Oh, really? I just thought it was good marketing.
Well, it is, but when they say diamonds in the sky for the Coro Moon, they aren't just being poetic. They're describing a lighting effect, where the source of the light is deeply recessed or suspended in a way that literally mimics the night sky.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it creates this vast ambient illumination without a single blinding point of glare. It's about expansive atmospheric mood setting.
Okay, that makes so much sense. But then, on the flip side of the catalog, you have these incredibly pragmatic, almost radical names.
Yeah.
You have a series literally called Louis and Lei, which is him and her in Italian. And Louis is taglined light in a radical form, while Lei is magical transformation. And then there is Più, which means more in Italian, and that one is labeled as perfect purism.
Which is the exact opposite of the ambient Luna series.
Right.
When a luminaire is named for perfect purism or a radical form, the design intent is focused entirely on directing a hyper-precise beam of light.
Okay, so it's not a wash, it's a beam.
Exactly. They strip away any unnecessary housing so that the physical object itself almost vanishes.
Oh, leaving only the pure functional beam.
Yes. The naming convention is a direct guide to the physical and emotional intent of the product.
So you're not just buying a metal tube with a bulb in it.
No.
You're buying a radical form to punch a very specific highlight onto, I don't know, a piece of art or a kitchen island.
Yes, and that is why they also have the mito line, which translates to myth.
Ah.
It's taglined the myth of light, and it has all these variations. You have mito sospeso for suspended pendants, mito soffitto for the ceiling. They even have Cedo, which is designed to blur the boundaries between indoor and outdoor spaces.
Which again goes back to the holistic thing.
Exactly. The product catalog is effectively a vocabulary.
A vocabulary.
By giving the user an infinite palette of emotional and functional lighting tools, they are empowering them to write their own lightscape.
Okay, the catalog is the vocabulary. I really like that. But And here is where we have to look at the application. Having a massive poetic vocabulary of tools is great in theory.
Sure.
The real test is how this philosophy survives contact with reality.
Always.
Because if they truly believe light is a building material that enhances well-being, it has to work across vastly different environments. And looking at the real-world case studies they provide in these sources, the diversity of the spaces is what really caught my eye. They divide their global projects into 4 main sectors.
Right. They have living, hospitality, shop, and office.
Yeah. And analyzing these specific case studies is crucial because it proves whether their holistic approach actually scales.
Oh, absolutely. Lighting a private living room is one thing, but dealing with the complex geometry and psychological demands of massive architectural spaces is a completely different mathematical and engineering challenge.
So let's look at a few of these because the juxtaposition is incredible to me. Under their hospitality and unique spaces projects, they have outfitted a modern architectural marvel called the Chapel of Light in Aranya.
Yes, a beautiful space.
It is a sacred spiritual space. But then they've also outfitted a massive super yacht called the Yacht Maverick.
Right.
And they are in high-end restaurants like Toru in Munich and the Coro Hotel.
The contrast between lighting a chapel and lighting a super yacht is actually the perfect way to understand their technology.
Walk me through that.
Well, think about a super yacht. You are dealing with incredibly confined spaces, right? Low ceilings.
Yeah, I guess you don't have a lot of headroom on a boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have the constant reflection of water outside.
Oh, the glare. I didn't even think about the water.
Right. So the lighting has to make the interior feel expansive and luxurious and be completely devoid of harsh glare, all while integrating seamlessly into the physical architecture of a moving vessel.
Right. You can't exactly hang a massive swinging chandelier in the cabin of a boat. You need the light to feel integrated into the ceiling itself.
Exactly. But then you look at the Chapel of Light in Aranya.
A completely different vibe.
Totally. A chapel is defined by its verticality, its soaring ceilings, and its need for reverence. In a spiritual space, you actually want shadows.
You want shadows.
Yes. You want high contrast and distinct, directed beams of light that draw the eye upward and create a sense of awe.
Oh, wow.
The lighting literally dictates the spiritual weight of the room.
Which brings up a huge question for me.
Yeah.
Usually a high-end brand has a very specific look. Like if you walk into a room, you can say, oh, that's a piece of mid-century modern furniture, or that is a brutalist concrete table.
Right. You recognize the physical object.
Exactly. So how does one single lighting brand fit into a sacred chapel, a super yacht, a high-end fashion headquarters like the Bogner headquarters they did in Munich, and even a medical clinic? They did the Kaolin Clinic.
Yeah, they good.
You wouldn't put the same furniture in a medical clinic that you'd put in a super yacht.
It is a fantastic question, and the answer is the absolute validation of their mission statement.
Okay.
The reason it works across all these spaces is because they are not prioritizing the aesthetic of the lamp's metal pacing over the actual light it emits.
Right.
Light is the universal denominator of human spatial experience. Because they treat light as a building material rather than just a decorative fixture, the brand's identity is found in the quality of the illumination itself.
So the light itself acts as the architecture.
Precisely.
Right.
Let's think about the mechanics of spatial perception for a second.
Okay.
If you have a room with 4 walls, but you only cast light on the center table, and you leave the edges in shadow.
Like a spotlight.
Right. Human perception dictates that the room only feels as large as that illuminated center space.
Oh, wow.
You have virtually shrunk the room without moving a single physical wall.
Wow. You literally built a wall out of darkness.
Exactly. And whether it's the new opulence of a Luna Nova installation casting this warm, expansive glow over the Casa de la Luz.
Which is that luxury residential villa in Mallorca from the sources, right?
Yes, exactly. Or, on the other hand, the radical form of a spotlight precisely highlighting a piece of art in the Haus der Kunst Museum in Munich. The light is doing the heavy architectural lifting.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And going back to the clinic, the Kaolin Clinic.
Right. In a clinic, the light needs to evoke extreme cleanliness and precision for the doctors.
Yeah, you need to see what you're doing.
Exactly. But it also has to create a sense of calm and comfort for the patients. You can't just blind them with sterile hospital lights.
Which is usually what happens.
Sadly, yes. So the fact that their ecosystem can seamlessly shift to accommodate the psychological needs of a patient in a clinic, a worshiper in a chapel, and a billionaire on a yacht, It proves that they really have mastered this new culture of light.
It really proves that their concept of a lightscape scales perfectly, from a cozy reading nook all the way up to massive commercial undertakings.
Absolutely.
And look at the retail spaces they've done, like the Dornbracht showroom in Milan or the Cabogan II in Dusseldorf. In retail, light dictates human movement.
That's completely.
It tells you where to look, what to value, and how to basically navigate a floor plan.
Which perfectly transitions into the final and perhaps most important piece of the puzzle here.
What's that?
Implementation. We've seen the grand global scale of these projects. We've decoded the poetry of their catalog and the mechanics of their architecture. But how does a professional architect or even just a private homeowner actually implement this?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because clearly, engineering a lightscape that perfectly balances color rendering, mood, and architectural geometry, that isn't something you just toss into an online shopping cart and install yourself on a Sunday afternoon.
No, absolutely not. I can barely change a fuse. And this is where we really see how deep their commitment to this culture goes in the sources.
Right.
The infrastructure they have built to deliver this ecosystem is incredibly specialized. For the professionals, like the architects, interior designers, and electricians who are actually drafting the blueprints for these chapels and yachts, they have created an entire platform called OCCHIO PRO.
Yes. The creation of OCCHIO PRO is a really fascinating business decision.
They refer to it as a one-stop solution, and the key feature seems to be a dedicated data center, along with specific PRO services. So what does this all mean? Why does a lighting company need a data center for architects?
Because lighting design at this level is an incredibly complex mathematical and technical challenge. An architect isn't just picking out pretty lamps. They are calculating beam angles, heat dispersion, lumen output.
Oh, wow, the actual physics of it.
Yes, and they have to figure out how the artificial lighting system will integrate with the building's smart home software, the HVAC systems, and the natural daylight harvesting of the windows.
Natural daylight harvesting.
Yeah. Using the sun. So by providing a data center, OCCHIO is giving architects the precise digital blueprints and technical backbone required to weave these luminaires directly into the DNA of the building before the foundation is even poured.
They are embedding themselves into the architecture from day one.
Exactly.
But what about the private consumer? Because their global footprint isn't strictly business to business.
No, not at all.
They have established flagship stores and partners all across Europe. Germany, Spain, Austria, the UK, Monaco. And looking at the customer journey they've laid out in the documents, it is an incredibly high-touch experience.
It is the complete opposite of a traditional retail experience. They aren't trying to just ring you up at a register and send you home with a box.
Right, the emphasis is entirely on booking a consultation. You interact directly with these flagship stores. You sign up for personalized newsletters. They even offer a 5-year OCCHIO care warranty to ensure the system is maintained over time.
Which is huge.
Yeah, and they have an entire educational wing called the OCCHIO Academy, along with detailed tutorials. I mean, booking an appointment at one of these flagship stores feels much more akin to hiring an interior designer than it does to buying a lighting fixture.
That is the crucial distinction that separates a manufacturer from a lifestyle partner.
Right.
A flagship store in this context isn't a showroom where you just look at lamps on a shelf. It is an experience center where you can physically feel how different lighting impacts your mood in real time.
You have to experience it to understand the joy of use.
Exactly. So by offering a data center for the architects on one end and a highly curated consultative experience for private buyers on the other, they are maintaining absolute control over the quality of the final lightscape.
Because if it's installed badly...
Right. They refuse to let their products be installed poorly. Because if the lightscape fails to enhance the user's well-being, the entire mission statement falls apart.
They are guarding the execution of their culture. They want to be involved from the very first blueprint stage all the way to the final, frictionless swipe of the hand that dims the living room.
Exactly. And I would actually challenge anyone listening to this deep dive right now to just pause for a second and evaluate the room they're currently in.
Oh, that's a good idea. Looking at my studio right now.
Right. Look at the light. Is it casting harsh, unnatural shadows? Is the color temperature making you feel alert and anxious when you actually want to be winding down?
Probably, yes.
Most of us are entirely passive in our environments. We just accept whatever light happens to be radiating from the ceiling because the house came that way.
Yeah.
Understanding this level of design challenges us to stop accepting bad lighting and start actively shaping the emotional weight of our spaces.
It really is a complete paradigm shift in how you view your home.
It is.
I mean, to synthesize this massive journey we've been on today, we started with this incredibly ambitious mission to enrich human lives through a new culture of light.
Hmm.
We broke down the mechanics of how they execute that through their 4 pillars, uncovering how joy of use is actually about frictionless holistic control.
Right.
We decoded the poetic taxonomy of their tools, from the ambient celestial Luna series to the radically precise Pew spotlights. And we explored how this light acts as physical architecture, creating the appropriate psychological mood in spaces as drastically different as a spiritual chapel in Aranya and a moving super yacht.
It's a massive scope.
It really is. And finally, we unpacked the massive professional ecosystem, from the PRO data center to the flagship stores, built specifically to guide a user in crafting their own custom environment.
It is a remarkably comprehensive vision, and, diving this deeply into the mechanics of it raises an important question, something for everyone to really ponder moving forward.
Oh, I'm ready.
As our homes and workspaces become increasingly smarter, more responsive, and more deeply integrated with technology, will we eventually look back on the standard single brightness, static light bulb the same way we currently look at black and white television or rotary phones?
Oh, wow. The idea that a room just has one single static setting will seem completely primitive,
No.
like living in a cave with a single torch.
Precisely. If light truly dictates our spatial awareness and shapes our psychological well-being as powerfully as this engineering suggests, perhaps actively curating our personal lightscape will soon be considered just as essential to our daily health and self-care routines as curating our diets or managing our sleep schedules.
That is a wild thought.
Mhm.
I am certainly never going to look at a standard ceiling fixture the same way again. I definitely need to go home and seriously reevaluate the mood of my living room.
Same here.
Well, thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture of light. Keep looking closely at the spaces around you, demand a little more joy from your environment, and as always, stay curious.